Welcome to The Explainer. So, what happens when a lie meant for good goes head-to-head with a lie meant for pure evil? Well, today we're going to untangle the absolutely brilliant and, let's be honest, chaotic plot of Shakespeare's Much Ado About Nothing.
We're going to follow the story right from the start in Messina, look at the two big deceptions that drive everything, see how it all blows up at a wedding, and then finally watch how the truth comes out and hopefully saves the day.
Okay, so let's set the scene. Our story kicks off in beautiful, sunny Messina in Sicily. The mood is fantastic. Everyone's celebrating because the governor, a guy named Leonardo, is welcoming Prince Don Pedro and all his soldiers back home. They've just won a war, so yeah, spirits are high.
And right off the bat, we meet our two main couples. Now, on one hand, you've got the young Count Claudio. He takes one look at the governor's daughter, Hero, and he is just instantly smitten. Love at first sight, the whole deal. But then you have Beatrice and Benedick. These two are sworn singles who say they can't stand each other. Seriously, every time they're in the same room, it's just this merry war of insults back and forth.
So, these are the people you really need to keep an eye on, the ones who make everything happen. You've got the good prince, Don Pedro, his favorite young soldier, Claudio, and of course, the super witty Benedick. But, and this is a big but, lurking in the shadows is Don John. He's the prince's bitter, illegitimate brother, and his resentment is basically a ticking time bomb, just waiting for a chance to ruin everybody's day.
So, Claudio is head over heels for Hero, right? But he's way too shy to actually, talk to her. So his boss, Don Pedro, comes up with a plan. He says, look, at the masked ball tonight, I'll pretend to be you, and I'll win her over for you. And this, right here, is the very first trick in a play that is just full of them.
And that really brings us to the engine of this entire play, which is deception. We're about to watch two totally separate schemes unfold at the same time. One is all about bringing people together, and the other is about tearing them apart.
All right, first up, the good trick. So all their friends can see there's something going on between Beatrice and Benedick, despite all the insults. So they decide to play matchmaker. The plan is simple. They stage these fake conversations for each of them to accidentally overhear, all about how the other person is secretly, desperately in love with them. And you know what? It works like an absolute charm. They both fall for it, hook, line, and sinker.
But at the exact same time, there's a much darker plot brewing. The villain, Don John, is just dead set on destroying Claudio's happiness. He gets his henchman, Baraccio, to set up this fake scene. He'll be seen at Hero's bedroom window with her maid, Margaret. But Margaret will be wearing Hero's clothes. And of course, Don John is going to make sure that Claudio is right there to witness this so-called proof.
And yep, both traps are sprung perfectly. The good trick totally works, opening up the hearts of Beatrice and Benedick to each other. But Don John's vicious lie also works, completely poisoning Claudio's mind against Hero and setting the stage for an absolute disaster.
So Don John's lie is about to explode, and it's going to happen in the most dramatic, public, and painful way you can possibly imagine, right in the middle of Claudio and Hero's wedding.
And Claudio he's completely consumed by rage. He believes the lie 100%. So he doesn't just, quietly call the wedding off. No. He decides he's going to make a public example of Hero. His plan is to humiliate her brutally, right there at the altar in front of everyone. So as Hero comes up to the altar to be married, Claudio just lets loose. He publicly rejects her, accuses her of being unfaithful, and calls her a rotten orange. I mean, in just one single, unbelievably cruel moment, he destroys her reputation and her entire family's honor.
The shock, the shame, the confusion, it's all just way too much for Hero to handle. She literally just collapses, completely overwhelmed.
And in all the chaos, almost everyone turns on Hero. Even her own dad believes the lie at first. But the friar, a wise man named Francis, looks at Hero and he just knows she's innocent. So he comes up with this wild, desperate plan. He says, let's tell everyone that she died from the shock. His thinking is that this will buy them some time to find the truth, and maybe, just maybe, it'll make Claudio realize the horrible thing he's done.
This awful tragedy? It becomes the ultimate test for Beatrice and Benedick. Beatrice is furious. She knows her cousin is innocent, so she turns to Benedick, and literally in the same moment they finally admit they love each other, she makes this absolutely shocking demand to prove his love: kill Claudio.
Okay, so just when things look completely hopeless, the truth starts to bubble up to the surface, and you will not believe where it comes from. It's not from the smart nobles or the wise friars. Nope. It comes from the most bumbling, incompetent, and hilarious characters in the entire play.
It turns out, on the night of the whole setup, the local night watchmen, who are, let's be real, comically bad at their jobs, they accidentally overhear Borachio drunkenly bragging to his friend about the whole evil plot. He's spilling all the details, how he and Don John framed Hero, how he got paid for it. Now, the Watchmen don't really understand half of what they're hearing, but they know it sounds really, really bad, so they arrest the guys anyway.
So, after a whole lot of very confusing and hilarious questioning, the Watchmen finally get their prisoners in front of Leonato, and it's at that moment that Borachio, seeing the horrible mess he's created, just breaks down and confesses everything. And this, right here, is the turning point. The whole story just flips on a dime.
And the truth hits Claudio like a ton of bricks. It all comes crashing down on him. He was tricked, he publicly destroyed an innocent woman, and he thinks his cruelty literally killed her. All that arrogance he had just melts away and is replaced by this absolutely crushing guilt.
All right, so the truth is finally out, and now the play just barrels toward its joyful and pretty famous happy ending.
Claudio is desperate to make things right. He begs Leonato to forgive him and says he'll do anything except any punishment. So Leonato gives him two tasks. First, he has to go tell the whole town that Hero was innocent. And second, he has to agree to marry Leonato's niece, a mysterious cousin who he's told looks exactly like Hero, without even seeing her face first. Of course, Claudio agrees, so they have another wedding. The veiled bride is brought out, and when the veil is lifted, Claudio is just floored. It's Hero. She's alive and she's well. And right in the middle of all this happy chaos, Benedick steps up and publicly asks Beatrice to marry him. And, after one final round of their signature witty jabs, they finally agree. It's a double wedding.
And there you have it. That's the happy ending. Claudio and Hero are back together, Beatrice and Benedick finally admit they love each other, and we even hear that the villain, Don John, has been captured. Everything's put right and social harmony is restored.
So this leaves us with a really interesting final thought, right? The entire plot is driven by deception. A nasty, malicious lie almost leads to total tragedy. But a pretty harmless, well-intentioned lie is what brings our favorite couple, Beatrice and Benedick, together. It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? Is a lie always a bad thing? Or does the intention behind it matter more?